Tell us a little bit about some of the other effects which climate change can bring, which could lead to the kind of migration we're talking about.
We have amazing human diversity and cultural diversity scattered across little pinpricks all across the globe, places you've never heard of, you'll never see. I've lived in one and it was phenomenal. And what I can say is that what a loss to humanity and to the diversity that we all benefit from if some of these islands go under. It's a shocking thing to think about, and it's also a really puzzling problem for international law. What do you do if you actually lose a state? You know, if you lose statehood, where does your culture go? Can you relocate a culture? I don't know that you can successfully. Anyway, many issues.
Are you saying that they should be adapting to the point where they should abandon ship, they should leave?
No, I don't think you can, with any reasonableness, say to a country, we're giving up on you. Why don't you just move? And that's why adaptation is getting higher and higher onto the political agenda. Finally, I mean, much of the focus so far has only been on reducing emissions, and I think governments around the world are realising adaptation is inevitable, and they need to take it seriously.
We should not always see migration as a response of failure. But to answer your question more precisely, I think we also have to look much more powerfully at adaptation and resilience, the agency of individuals and people themselves. We have to look at ways of using sensitive development, sustainable development, to help people stay in situ. To look at the ways in which scientific and technical capacity can be used, and the tools of science and technical responses can be used.
Are people who are forced to move because of climatic conditions, are they properly refugees?
Okay, we had already all those political refugees. Then we had the economic refugees. Now there are the environmental refugees coming. So we have to close the doors. And this is really a counterproductive effect of
Is it possible to distinguish so easily? I mean, is somebody who is a environmentally displaced person, could they also be a refugee from conflict? Could they also be an economic refugee? Couldn't all those things apply?
It's precisely very difficult to distinguish. And using the concept of environmental refugee gives the idea that it would be possible individually to assess a claim for asylum of a person on the basis of environmental motivation. And this is really very rarely the case.
Professor Hague, is this something you've given thought to about who should be stumping up the cash? Where should the responsibility really lie?
Yes, it's a very specific case we have here, because if you want to apply the principle of polluter-payer, you have to make a kind of calculation of the responsibility, and that's not that easy. It's not like, for example, if a boat with oil breaks and the coast is destroyed, then you can sue the company and you can get some reparation. For climate change, it's not that easy. But at the same time, I think we should think about a way to share responsibility. And for example, if you take simply the share of CO2 emission during the last 50 years, you can get an idea of the percentage of responsibility of different states. That doesn't mean you can apply this directly to sue them and to force them to pay their part, but it could be done, and it would lead, for example, to say that, okay, the Netherlands has a moral responsibility toward 1 million among the 150 million people who are under the 1 meter sea level. I just take it as an example.
Should we be taking people to court? Should we be suing them for potentially destroying nations?
Well, I was at a business meeting recently in the United States, and everybody there was talking about climate risk, and I thought they must be talking about the risk of climate change. And after a while I found out that they were actually talking about the risk of litigation or the risk of legislation. So they're talking about the risk that the government would actually do something, or the risk that somebody would sue them for not doing something. So I think it's already becoming a reality out there today.
Thank you.